Hey, this is Kostas from Pantheist. You're listening to Heavy Mental Breakdown.
With your accent there, I think you have one of the best intros that I've had yet. So everybody kind of just sounds so American. So it's nice to have a little twist on it there. You're
It
in
certainly
Wales.
sticks out a bit, right?
Yeah, it definitely does, but in the best way. You're in Wales right now. What are you should be sleeping right now. Thank you for hanging out with me on a late Monday night for you. I appreciate it.
No worries, man. I mean, the thing is, I don't actually sleep very early, to be honest. So for me, doing an interview, it's now what 11 p.m. here.
Yeah.
Even if we had done it at 12, I mean, I don't go to sleep before one, generally speaking.
So
So
you're kind of like me in the sense where you're kind of a vampire. You kind of do your
yeah, I'm
best.
a kind of vampire. Yeah,
Great. You
yeah.
kind of do some of your best work at night when everyone's sleeping, and you can kind of just kind of dive into your own world and not be distracted.
I like that description. Yeah, I'm a bit of a nocturnal creature in that sense. I mean, not super late. I like to sleep a bit as well, but it just at night it's nice and quiet, isn't it? There's no,
Yeah.
like you said, no many distractions around,
Yeah.
and that means your mind expands a bit more. It's a bit more sort of open, and
Yeah.
you're not distracted, and you start tuning in to your environment, and that's where inspiration strikes, I think. So for me, as a musician and artist, it's a very good time to
Yeah.
be around it. Well, sleeping is not bad because you get ideas in your sleep as well. But I would say
Yeah.
you get better ones when you're awake, generally speaking. So
You know what? Out of all these interviews so far, I have not discussed with anybody yet about people who work late at night and how that also deals with mental health and just how people are creative as well. Because I've always kind of been that way. I if I'm in like a crowded office or something like that, I can't do anything. And
I
especially something creative. And so, like, if I'm doing like a 9 to 5 kind of office gig or something, which I've done before, and I kind of drives me crazy. And then I try to get home, and then it's loud at home. Like, I can't do it. So, like 11 o'clock, I feel like I can just breathe,
yes, no,
and it's like, whoa, okay, now I can finally work. So I totally get that, man. Do you write a lot? Do you do a lot of the recording for your band at night? Would you say most of it's then, or kind of how do you balance that?
yeah. So I mean, I totally recognize what you say. I actually have a day job, so it's not that I work in the night. I work in the day, and then I come home, relax a bit, and then
Sure.
it's almost, I don't know, sometimes either you take a nap or you relax a bit, and it's almost the second part of the day starts, which is the night.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
I
when
get
we
it.
sort of start getting creative. So the actual process, because I'm writing most of the music in the band and the lyrics, so that generally happens in these nocturnal hours. You know,
Yeah,
uh, the actual recording with a band that happens in the day, of course, because studios generally don't like to, at least locally where we live in Wales, to work strange hours. So they like to record in the day. So that's generally when we go in the studio. It has to be within sort of work, the regular work hours. Yeah, and it works for me like that because inspiration comes at night because, as you said, like you're spontaneous and your mind is unbothered and you don't have
yeah,
deep, busy conversations. But I think when you actually come to the recording part, that's a more technical part, and it's actually not bad to do it in the day and when it's a little bit more loud and people are around because you kind of need to perform there. You know what I mean? It's not a spontaneous sort of thing. You need to
yeah,
actually have a proper good take in the studio,
yeah. You
and
gotta be awake a little bit for
uh,
that.
you need to be awake. Yeah, and we've got an
Yeah,
engineer who has a ridiculous.
yeah,
He has an absolute hearing, so he can hear every single thing that is off. So he
yeah,
can say, okay, this is out of tune, or this is do it again. Like this, and then you have to do it, because he won't be happy until everything is perfectly tuned, and he keeps tuning the instrument. The drum he keeps tuning every single time, like until it's right. So
yeah.
that's sort of stuff you do in the day, because it would be very exhausting to do it at night. So fair
Yeah,
enough.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, speaking of being in a studio, you're in a band called Pantheist from Wales. Are you guys from Wales? Is that where you originated from?
Yeah, so the band is based in Wales at the moment. Pantheist actually started in Belgium, strangely enough, because I used to live in Belgium.
Oh,
And
okay.
then I moved to England, so the band moved to England because I'm kind of the main songwriter. And then the band moved to Wales, so again, everything because I moved to Wales. And the lineup has been changing every time, but it has been stable for quite a few years now because we're in Wales since, what, 2019 maybe. First, it
Okay.
was a pandemic and all that, so it was not really a live band. So I was doing
Yeah.
it online. Interestingly enough, I had members from
Hmm.
the United States in the band then.
Oh,
The
okay.
guitarist Jeremy, he was from Wilmington, I think, somewhere around there. And then the drummer John was from the other end, somewhere in where is Nirvana from? You know, that sort of
Oh,
uh,
Seattle.
Seattle. Yes, right.
Yeah.
Thank you. So they were like the two opposite ends from the United States. You know,
Sure.
so they never met each other, even though they're both in the United States.
Yeah.
But it's like, so it was a little bit like that. But over time, I got more local people. Now we have a proper local band. We rehearse in Cardiff, which is only half an hour from where I live, which is a bit of a luxury for me. So we all see each other quite regularly. Yeah, it's more of
Nice.
a regular band the last 3 years or so.
Yeah, that's great. It's definitely, 2020 definitely made a lot of things possible, but it also showed that being in person, doing these things, how much of a benefit and how much for granted we took a lot of that stuff, just being together and especially being creative. Yeah, you can definitely have conversations and talk on Zoom, but when you're in a room with someone, it's different. And so when
Yeah,
you're, especially when you're in a band and everything, like yeah, you have to, you have kind of have to be together. Um,
I agree. Yes, and it was like, I mean, it was very obvious for me during the pandemic. It was good to walk anywhere to do anything at all because otherwise you isolate yourself. But once that sort of period finished, I was really longing for a proper live environment. You wanted to smell the sweat
yeah,
after it. So,
yeah,
to be there in the same room with the same
yeah,
guys. This is, yeah, it is a very different feeling, and you can't really replicate it, I don't think,
yeah,
from it. Yeah.
definitely not. So what genre would you classify your music?
So what we play is some sort of doom metal. So I think that's the main genre.
Gotcha, doom
Obviously,
metal.
yeah. I mean, nowadays you've got, of course, every genre has a million subgenres, and then
Absolutely.
you
Yep.
it's like
Yep.
I play technical, majestic, gothic, doom, funeral,
Yeah.
whatever. But generally, I would describe our music as atmospheric doom metal. So doom metal is, I mean,
Okay.
that refers to the slow and heavy riffs, of course,
Uh,
that sort of tempos, and atmospheric because for me, yes, there are still riffs and all that, but it's more about creating a really nice atmosphere and mood through the music. So that's why I prefer to call it atmospheric doom metal. Some people say funeral doom metal, others say gothic doom metal. But yeah, whatever. I don't really care much about it. It's all
so,
about the music, isn't it? So.
so did you say you are primarily like the main songwriter?
Yes, I would say so because the music has been. I mean, the band has been. I mean, you can tell we're all a bit ancient, really. The band has been going on since the year 2000. So this
Sure.
year we're actually celebrating our 25
Oh
year
wow!
anniversary.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
That's awesome.
Um, so yes, I've been. It started as a personal vehicle to express myself, and it always stayed that way. So I'm the only constant member. I had quite of course, we moved a little bit around, so we had a lot of different members over the years. And other people contribute as well, but it's kind of generally known as Kostas the band,
Yeah.
because of it's been associated with me through the
Yeah.
beginning. That's how it
So,
works. But yes, I'm
so
quite open to other
atmospheric.
contributions.
I'm sorry. So atmospheric doom metal. How come atmospheric? What made you want to kind of add that into the mix there? Why is that important to you to be able to create an atmosphere in music?
Well, when I write music, for me, it is about creating a mood. Anyway, it's about creating a story. So I'm a keyboard player. So, see, that already makes a big difference. A lot of metal musicians who write the music are the guitarists, like so they have a
Sure.
particular way of approaching things based on guitar riffs and that sort of stuff. And for me, it has always been about like a more cinematic approach, if you like. So I'm influenced by a lot of film composers like
Oh,
Ennio
cool.
Morricone, all that sort of stuff. Vangelis, who made very cinematic music, all
I'm
that
a
Jean-Michel Jarre.
I'm a
So
big Bernard Herrmann fan. He's my favorite. He's my favorite.
right,
He's
yeah,
my favorite film composer of all time.
lovely. Yeah, there's so
John
many good.
Williams, all of them. John
Yeah,
Carpenter
they're all
has
great.
amazing stuff. Yeah,
I think what all these people have in common is they create their own universe, and that's what I like to do.
yeah,
Sort of
yeah.
create a
I
little bit
like
of my
that.
own world, where then everything sort of in that you've got everything under your control, and then yes, you can let people in. You can then decide, within that universe, as long as everyone understands what the universe is, you can also
Yeah.
come part of it, but don't go out of it. Just we
So
create our own world here.
yeah, so why create your own world? How come, when you said to yourself one day, I want to be in a band. I want to be in, I'm not sure what the genre is yet. Maybe I'll find it, as I go, but what made you want to be like, I want to create not even just like a band, but my own world. And I want it to be atmospheric, but I want it to be in music and not in film. Um,
Yeah,
why that route for
well,
you? Yeah.
that's a very interesting question. For me, I mean, film, that's not, I mean, not that I'm not visual, but I would never be able to create a film. I don't have that sort of talent. But what I was
But
doing
film
before,
as in like soundtracks for movies or like being a film composer, why not that route instead of,
all right, yes, okay,
doing
I
the
see what you're
music?
saying.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I actually started. I mean, I was always a bit in my own world, man. So we lived. I was born in Greece, and at the age of 11, I moved to Belgium. So a
Mm.
different country, a different language. So I felt quite isolated as a kid, and that's how I started creating my own world a little bit.
Ah, okay.
Just trying to just cope a little bit with the fact I didn't have any friends, or I was a bit isolated. You have find it difficult to adjust, perhaps. And yeah, so it started with writing music. So I wanted to be a writer. That was the first thing. So writing little stories and things like that as a kid. And I had this whole notebooks the whole time, making all these notes and a lot of ideas for stories that never materialized. But occasionally something that actually I managed to finish once in a
Sure,
while,
yeah.
not very
Yeah.
often. So the whole idea of creating your whole universe came a little bit from that, really. And then I started hearing music in my head at the age of maybe 13, around that age. So I started automatically doing the same. I said, well, if I can create my own world through the word, through writing, then I can do that the same with the music. The only problem is I wasn't playing any instrument at the time. I would just hear the music in my head, and it's like, ooh, that's a bit difficult, not because how I'm gonna explain that to someone how to. So I
Yeah.
have to go and learn an instrument. And from there, it appeared that the keyboard was the most natural instrument for that because it has that
Yeah.
quality. You can create arrangements and cinematic sort of soundscapes and things like that. So yeah, initially I can't say. As a matter of fact, I started by making music for plays for friends and things like that. The first thing I did, I think, was the music for a school play. They decided to do. It was actually a little sort of film that not my class, another class made, and I said, "Oh, I'll do the soundtrack for that." So I
That's
just,
awesome.
yeah, it was pretty cool, and I didn't have many means at the time, so I had a stereo, how do you call it, like a sound blaster sort of thing with a tape. So I would put a tape in and record, and then I
Yeah.
record over that tape, and
Yeah.
of
Oh
course
no.
the quality was deteriorating and deteriorating every time a new take would be added. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
it was kind of something came out, with a few takes, and then it was good enough to use. So it was starting a bit like that. So yeah, for me, it didn't really matter. It didn't have to be a band. The idea of a band came a bit later, really.
Yeah, okay. So the idea of a band was more of just, it wasn't, hey, I want to go out and make music, or it wasn't, I want to go out and achieve a certain thing. It was you just wanted a space that was yours and that you can create, and you created it because of almost out of necessity of just like needing a place to be, almost like your safe place. And so once you created that, and once you created this little world, and now it's 25 years later, looking back at this world you've created, how does it feel?
Well, it feels strange because this time I keep repeating, of course, this year, 25 years, because it is our anniversary, and I keep saying we're gonna do a tour in Europe in 10 days time now for about a week or so. So we
Oh,
called it the 25 years of Doom tour, you know.
that's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we released a compilation this year which is called 25 years of Pantheism. So that's that
Pantheism.
number 25, it keeps coming back, and I'm thinking, blood,
Yeah.
it's such a long period of time, you know, it's a quarter of a century. So it's really hard for me to even comprehend how the years have passed. You know, it's really, I don't even know how it came about. I guess I like to keep myself busy, and then
Yeah.
for one project takes you to the next, and then of course life gets in the way as well. So sometimes you take a few years without recording anything, and then suddenly you do quite a lot of things at once, and before I knew, time has passed, you know. So I
Yeah.
don't know, it
25
just
years now.
happened. Yeah, it just
That's
happened.
cool. Well, we are here today because we are going to be dissecting your song called "Be Here." Out of all the songs from these last 25 years, why this song?
Well, you know, when you mentioned the heavy mental breakdown and the concept that you had, I mean, this song is actually particularly written, you know, to describe a certain mental health condition of someone,
Mm.
a person who's close to me. So I thought it's a very sort of apt one, because it directly, you can hear my cat in the background. Probably he decided to join in the conversation. Um, and I thought that it's actually, that's number one reason, because it's very personal, and it does
Mm.
talk about the personal experience. And number two, it's a very popular song of our songs. It's a song that one of the most recognizable, if not the most recognizable song. So whenever we play live, people are like, be here, be here. so
Cool.
so it felt like a natural sort of choice to make as well.
Okay, great. Well, one thing that I do for these interviews is that I have not heard this song yet.
Great.
I have
Even
not
better.
listened to it, so I love to be able to have a reaction to it and kind of feel like your energy and the lyrics, and just I like to just feel it and then tell you what I think it means to me or what it could mean, and I would love to hear your thoughts, and that's kind of how this is going to work here.
I love it.
Cool. All right. Well, this is "Be Here" by Pantheist. It is a 10-minute and 50-second long epic journey. I'm excited to break it down. what a very cool location this is. I just wanted to say that,
Yes.
as a big film guy myself, and I'm also a camera operator. So whenever I see really cool sets and cool lighting and stuff, I always gotta call it out and say I appreciate it. So cool spot there.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. It was actually, we worked with a professional filmmaker. We just happened to be a big fan of the band, so we're very
Oh,
lucky
nice.
with him. And it was on location. Yeah, we actually traveled to Belgium. It was January actually. It was very cold. It was snowing outside. I will never
Oh,
forget that. And it was overnight in a church in a cathedral in Belgium.
yeah.
And he just got access to it. They gave him the keys and said, as long as you don't break anything, whatever. So we went there at night and we just filmed it in the video clip. Most of the video clip was filmed in the cathedral at night.
Yeah. Wow. What a location. Yeah. What a video. I'm definitely gonna have some of this video clip on the YouTube video when I upload this. But for anybody listening or watching this, watch the video separately as well with full screen with no breaks, so you can kind of take it in. It's a great location. It's really cool. All right, these lyrics here. You are on your own in your little world, and you drift away, far away from here. A couple of things that I wanted to point out about this is that it's kind of a very slow burn intro. It's almost like you're waiting for something to happen. You're waiting for like a breakdown almost, and just like the drums coming in heavy and something switching, but it just stays this way. It's kind of like a creepy, haunting kind of atmosphere. I love that you said that word earlier, because that fits perfect to what I envision with this. It's like this creepy atmosphere, like some fog going or something like that, and the fact that there's like slow pans and wide shots. It's very cinematic, and it's creating this very kind of haunting tone early on. Would you say haunting is a decent word to kind of use for this?
Yeah, I like the word haunting. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it certainly creates. I mean, going together. I like the music and the lyrics to kind of go hand in hand. So in a way, it talks about, as the lyric implies, about someone who's a bit trapped in their own world. So that world can be haunted. Of course, can be quite unusual, quite atmospheric, and sort of, that slow burn is, as you described yourself. You're a bit trapped in there. So at the moment you're not quite sure where it's going. The music, there's only a few chords that don't really go. They just build up, and it's not clear where it's heading to. I like the description of haunting.
And it's cool the way that it's structured, because you just said like it's slow and haunting, and you don't really know where it's going, and that really relates to the song, like the way the song lyrics open up too. Like, you drift away, far away from here in your own world, and you don't know where you're going. Like, it almost feels like when you're in a bad mindset, or you're feeling depression, or you're feeling something that you're not, that's not feeling good, you don't know where it's going. Like, it's internal haunting. It's internal. And and like that. Drifting far away from here, and like, if you drift far away from yourself, you're in a bad place. And that's not somewhere that you want to be.
I agree. Yes. And it's not life in general. We never know where it's going anyway.
Yeah, so exactly. I mean, even if you're not going through a hard time, like just every single day of life, you never know. You never know where it's going to go. hold on a minute. So I am thrown off. I didn't expect it to go this way. I kind of feel like I'm like, oh, okay. It wasn't. I knew I was waiting for something to drop, something heavy to come in, and I thought it was going to be musically, but no, it was lyrics. It was lyrically the heavy. The okay. On which cloud can I find you? You have left this life behind. You met Jesus under the streetlight. Hope you found what you're looking for. So that last line there, I hope you found what you're looking for. And you left this life behind. You left it behind. Is this song about a suicide?
Uh, I mean, I know what the song is about, obviously, and it's about a very specific topic. But generally speaking, I don't particularly like to be too explicit with the meaning, simply because people interpret it always in different ways.
Sure.
There's an element
Sure.
of Jesus there, and then a lot of people say, "Oh, are you a Christian band?" I said, "Well, what do you think?" I like to keep that a little bit vague, all that sort
Yeah.
of stuff.
Okay.
All I would say is like, this is just like it can be seen metaphorically as well, isn't it? You left this life behind, not necessarily literally, but left the
Gotcha.
life you used
Okay.
to. You left the life, your daily routine, if you like, behind.
Yeah.
The things that you normally do, and then suddenly you meet Jesus, and then it takes you, elsewhere.
Gotcha. It's interesting that that's where my mind went, because as you said that, I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, why? It doesn't mean what I was talking about. Like, yeah, somebody could have like, hey, you did leave and you met Jesus, and hope the other side is exactly what you've always wanted. But for me, my mind goes straight to, but like, oh, I hope you found it and you left it. Oh, is this about this? It's weird how interpretations can go, just like not even thinking about the other like alternatives. That just like, oh, this is what I took it for. Is this what it is? And then it just becomes, there's definitely truth to the quote where once you put an album out, it's no longer yours. It's the audience's album.
I fully agree with this quote.
Yeah.
And for me, I never really liked the same with films, I guess, but also with music and lyrics. I don't like lyrics that are too literal, where everything is like, oh, then I went to the shop
absolutely.
and I bought a loaf of bread and then I went home and ate it, whatever.
That would be a great song.
I just like when there is a bit of a, I think vagueness makes makes art.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and music and film and everything. So the more there is sort of various interpretations possible, the more you can actually discuss it, right? Because if there's only one interpretation, okay, you just discuss it, that's it, you move on, nothing to add really. If there's various interpretations, one person comes, says, like you just said, it means this to me, someone else will say it means, actually I thought it meant something completely different. I like that, because then you essentially, I think what art does, it plays with what is in your own mind, It's not so much about the song, it's more how you react to what you hear. It's about how you sort of, your own experience and your background creates a certain reaction with the music, with the sound, with the lyrics, and that's what makes it interesting for me. So, and that's why I don't like to be too prescriptive with the meanings. I know what it means to me, but so from what I heard so far, even to other band members, and friends and family, it doesn't mean the same thing, and I'm cool. It doesn't have to mean the same. Sometimes I hear artists go, no, that's not what it means, and I'm like, no, I don't want to know what it means. I'm actually cool to not really to make like you did, just make my own mind, and I think that's what it means for me. And you kind of spoil it if you now tell me it actually means something else, because I don't want it to mean that something else, I actually want it to mean this. And because it's personal, and music is personal, so.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of songs where I would never want to know what it means, because I've, especially songs from my childhood, because there's certain songs that just have like been there, like a staple for me, and I'm just like, to me, this is what it's always meant, because in my world and in my life during this time, I was going through a breakup or a new job, so this song to me means, keep going and be motivated. If I found out it didn't mean anything like that, I would kind of be disappointed too. And so Yes, you know that, and that's the beauty of music, is that you can talk to one person about something, about the same exact song, the same exact lyrics, but they just have a completely different opinion of what
That's
it is,
crazy, isn't it?
and it
But
brings
yeah,
people
it does.
together.
It
You
does.
know, and
Yeah.
and you know, whenever you see, you know, concerts of, like, you know, huge bands like, you know, Metallica, or, you know, anybody huge like that, and you just see the crowds and they're singing the lyrics, and, you know, it brings everybody together, but everybody has their own story of why it brought them there, and it's so awesome
Totally.
to think about that.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
agree. That's if people cannot connect on their own personal level, then the music kind of loses its meaning, isn't it? So
yeah,
you need to allow people to connect to their own. People come and say things. I mean, sometimes the most depressive song, someone says that makes me happy. Well, that's great to hear, you know. And from
yeah,
the other side, like a very happy song, is someone says that makes me actually sad because it's related to that very sad memory. And every time I hear that super
yeah,
happy song, I actually get sad. But
hmm,
exactly that's what makes music interesting, right?
yeah,
Because again, like we're saying earlier, it connects to your own personal experience and your personality and your background and your environment, and all that stuff comes together to make such a unique mix. That's why two people can never have exactly the same experience listening to the same music, unless they listen to it for the first time in the same place when they're together, and then
sure,
but even
sure,
then,
sure,
so
sure,
they have their own thoughts that can
yeah,
uh, create very different interpretations. So
yeah. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about it. Music's awesome. Music is awesome.
I agree.
Speaking of awesome music, let's keep listening to "Be Here."
Right? Yeah, we're at the
All right.
chorus now.
You have a look on your face. As if you don't know I am serious. I disappeared from your radar. And what you are thinking about, I can only guess.
All right. So what we heard over the course is what would you say that's the course? I just want I want you to be here. Just be here. Is that the
That's the
course?
chorus. Yeah,
There we
absolutely.
go. So that's the course. I want you to be
Yeah.
here. Just be here.
I cannot just say this is the only verse chorus song I've ever written. So
Okay.
it's quite unusual in that sense. It has a very classic pop structure: verse, chorus, a little bridge, but then again
Okay.
verse, chorus,
Gotcha.
etc. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's kind of like a one-liner, and it's simple and it's straight to the point, and it's, you know, everything else can be kind of subjective, and, you know, what we're talking about with lyrics, but this right here, it's very simple and it's very powerful. I just want you to be here. Just be here. I mean,
a
I
great
can't.
thing.
Yeah, I can't even begin to try to remember how many times I've thought that about just saying that to myself. Like, dude, just like stop thinking about tomorrow or thinking about yesterday from 10 years ago. Even just be here right now. It's a powerful one-liner, and it kind of to me. It feels like it just brings you kind of back to the center when you hear this in the song.
I think it does. Yeah. I mean, the only annoying thing about it, I find that I didn't. I'm not an Oasis fan, but apparently they have an album called "Be Here Now," which I find really annoying because people say, "Oh, like Oasis." Like, no, not
No.
at all that way. No, it's not
Yeah,
that way.
not. Oh, yeah, definitely not. Not like Oasis.
No, but yeah, I mean, funnily enough, yeah, the chorus says "be here," but it's actually about not being here. The song, it's about not being present,
Yeah.
as you said to yourself, really.
Yeah.
Because whether it's through, the fact that you're mentally not present in the moment because you have some mental troubles or distracted by something or something keeps you from actually being here at the moment. So yeah, that's what it's all about. But of course, by saying "be here," you kind of emphasize the importance, like you say yourself. It's all when you look back at life, it's all a string of moments, isn't it? So if you're not present in the moment, then you end up at some point thinking to yourself, well, what have I lived really? What are the moments that I lived? Because you might have all these vague memories of things you've done and everything, but if you were not present at the moment, then you didn't really quite experience them. So for me, yeah, the idea is very important. I think there's a lot of Eastern philosophies that talk about the presence of the moment and the stream of consciousness and things like that. And I think it's good for me also from time to time to think to myself, I kind of need to be, like you said to yourself, a little bit more present and enjoy what is happening right now and not worry about tomorrow or be stuck in the past, because that happens also sometimes anyway. Things have happened, you still try to make sense of the past and you kind of
Yeah.
lose the present because you're stuck in the past or anticipate what's going to happen in the future. So yeah, be here in the moment.
Yeah. I like everything you just said. I was looking. I'm like, I know I have something around here. I have a book from John Kabat-Zinn. I think that's how you pronounce his name. It's called "Wherever You Go, There You Are." Got it right here.
That
Wherever
sounds
you
very
go,
interesting.
there you are, and that's exactly what it's about.
Right, yes, I like it.
I just got back from most amazing trip of my life. My wife and I went on our honeymoon, and we did a huge European trip. We started in Paris, and we ended in Athens, Greece. We did Santorini. We did Mykonos down there in Greece, and then we were in Switzerland for a bit, and I live in Brooklyn, New York, and before this I was in Chicago, before this Los Angeles, and all these major cities, and where there's always something crazy going on, and it's so chaotic, and especially in New York, especially here. And when I was out there, that's and you know what, specifically in Greece, specifically there, I remember the moment was in Santorini, and I'm just like looking off, and I'm like, wow, like I'm not in New York right now. I'm like, I am not in the U.S. right now. Like, I feel like I'm just somewhere different. I mean, I am, and just somewhere in a whole different world, and I'm really happy to be here right now. And it's silly, when you look at just simple words like this or simple phrases, and sometimes it's just those little things. It's not like a crazy speech or someone gave, or a whole book. Sometimes you just need to hear the right words. Just be here.
Yeah, I mean, and also the way life has become. I'm interested to hear your experience, because the opposite happened with me when I used to be in a band called Cripple Black Phoenix, and we actually toured the USA in 2009. It was about 3 weeks, something like that. So we just mostly the East Coast. But I remember actually being in New York and looking at these absolutely massive buildings and thinking, "Holy cow! I've never seen anything like that."
Yeah.
And I had the reverse of what you just said. It's like I realized suddenly, like, wow, I'm here in the moment, it's totally not where I am at home. It's like,
Yeah.
it's a completely different world. Normally I get quite homesick when I'm away from home, but not there, because it was so different that I was really fascinated. I felt I need to see more of that because it's so unusual,
Yeah.
and probably that's what you're describing as well, sort of this whole idea
Definitely.
of being somewhere where it makes you feel alive, right? Makes you think,
Yeah.
wow, that's a new experience. I'm not gonna forget this because it's so different, and I can relate. And perhaps helps you to reintegrate sometimes your previous experiences as well. When you've seen something you haven't seen before,
Yeah.
suddenly like it expands like the way you see everything, really. So
Yeah.
you integrate that in your experience, and then you sometimes reinterpret some of the things you've already seen before.
Yeah, they call New York the concrete jungle. And that's what it is. It's nothing but concrete and streets and cars and tall buildings. But there's something special about it, but when I was in Athens, standing on the edge of Poseidon's temple, looking over, the ocean, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is not the concrete jungle. So it's good to see that to me, traveling has been such a huge part of my life because, you only know where you live sometimes. And a lot of times, a lot of people don't like to travel and travel far and stuff. But when you're like that, you're adventurous and you want to see other places, like that's living, man, it's cool. It's really cool to do those things. And it's important.
Yeah.
It's important when you're there to just be there.
Totally. I mean, there's the other side, of course. There's a Greek poet, Kavafis, from the 19th century that I really like, and he has a poem called "The City," and basically describes someone who says, essentially what it says is like, oh, you went to another city thinking that you're gonna see something new and something different and everything. But basically, to summarize the poem, it's obviously much more beautifully said than the way I describe it. But to summarize it, basically, you're still a miserable sod, even though you've been to a completely different. Because he says the Hippolis, the city, is actually inside you. So what he actually means is like you carry your own mindset, and as long as you still carry that same mindset, it doesn't matter how majestic the environment and different is or whatever. You're never gonna get excited about anything because the first thing you need to open yourself up for that. You obviously open yourself up to that experience. I open myself up to that experience of New York. But if you don't do it, you can travel the whole world and still be the same miserable fucker, my friends.
Exactly. Cool. Well, there's other lyrics that we just heard as well. As you have a look on your face as if you don't know I exist. I disappeared from your radar, and what you are thinking about, I can only guess. So basically, it's you have a look on your face as if I don't exist. Kind of just seeing right through him, not even acknowledging who he is, and disappeared from your radar, and you have no clue I exist. You don't know where I'm at. You don't care anymore. And what you're thinking about, I have no clue. I can only sit here with my own thoughts.
Yeah. You see sometimes people trapped a little bit, isn't it? So when they're having a bit of a mental breakdown or something, they're just too trapped in their own world to even acknowledge their environment, or they sort of, perhaps because what's inside is too intense and they need to put all their energy into dealing with what is happening in their head at the moment. Or perhaps some people are distracted, sometimes like absent-minded thinking of something else, and then they're just not there at all, and they don't acknowledge that you exist. Could be any of these things, but the point is, sometimes we go part of our, and I guess most of us do it at some point in our lives, part of our lives where we're not really quite there, and we don't really acknowledge people around us, and then sort of something's like, oh, like sort of. You come back to the reality, and then you sort of realize you almost like a little absence, isn't it? You missed like part of your life or your reality, or because you weren't quite there. You were too much trapped within your own head, and I guess this is what is being described there.
This song is very psychological.
I'm a psychologist, so that makes sense.
Are you really?
Yes, that's my background. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, cool. I can tell that these lyrics were very were really thought out, and it's interesting
Thank you,
to
yes.
kind of to put it all together and seeing where it goes.
It was really important for me as well to have the director understanding, because we spoke a lot about the lyrics and then he translated them. The video clip, that was all his work. I didn't sort of. He came with a vision and he translated what he.
Yeah, it
more
looks
like an
it looks really
metaphorical,
well done.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm glad you think that.
Since we've kind of talked about movies and stuff here, I'm a big film buff. I especially horror films.
Nice.
I'm a big
Oh.
horror movie fan, and my favorite movie, the greatest movie of all time is Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho.
Okay, yeah, interesting, yes.
To me, the scariest movies are the psychological thrillers, because
Yes.
monsters and zombies and jump scares and ghosts and stuff, yeah, those are cool horror movies, whatever. But as the older that I get too, I start to realize that the scariest thing can be your own head, your own thoughts.
I cannot disagree with that whatsoever. I think that, yeah, it can be terrifying what you find in your own head, and that's been
Yeah.
explored in some of the best horror films, of course.
Yeah, it is crazy the scary places you can go just by taking yourself there. It is nuts. It's nuts.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah, this song makes me think. I like it.
I like when people think. That's what it's all about.
Cool. All right. Well, I would say we are about halfway done with the song, maybe a little more than halfway done.
Yeah.
So let's keep grooving out to this.
Go for it.
Laying flat on your back. Remain in this endless dream. Will you ever wake up to be with me? Why aren't you here? Just be just
All right. I feel we're gonna get into some really cool instrumental stuff there, so I'm gonna stop it now so we can fully enjoy that. What we got coming up, because I feel it. I know it's coming. Laying flat on your back, you remain lost in this endless dream. Will you ever wake up to be with me?
Right, yeah. That's it's a state, isn't it? You see sometimes in I guess you see in movies as well. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and whatever. A psychiatric institution of people are in catatonic state, and I don't know. You just think, are they still? You always want to poke them. Are they still alive? They're of course still alive, but they're like stiff. They just sit there and they lie back, and it's almost like in a very unnatural positions. The limbs are like the
Yeah.
legs can be right up in the air, and it stays like that. And it's really weird to see. It looks so uncomfortable. You think, come
Yeah.
on, it's rest, but they can't. They're just in that sort of state. So I guess that was a lyric sort of described that sort of being sort of lost in that sort of catatonic state. Yeah, and it does feel like the person is dreaming endlessly, really, and you just wonder if that person ever actually come back to reality, or other stuff lost forever in that very unnatural looking position and state where it's almost like there's no presence there, like this, almost like there's no soul in that body at that particular moment.
You're laying flat on your back, you remain lost in this endless dream. Will you ever wake up to be with me? It's really interesting. So, and this is the effect music has, and this is why it's awesome. To me, it takes me back to a memory of when I was in a very unhappy relationship. I dreaded just going to bed next to her at night, going to sleep. To a lot of couples, that is a time to be together and wind down and have a you time. And I always dreaded that time with her. And laying flat on your back, you remain lost in an endless dream. That was kind of me, just like laying up, looking at the ceiling, and just being like, "What is happening right now?" And that went on for years, and it felt like not an endless dream, but an endless nightmare.
Right. Yeah.
And will you ever wake up to be with me? And not even just like waking up from sleep, but like, will you just like snap out of like what's happening, and can we just like be together again? Can we be here again? Can we just be here? Even though I know what the song, we've discussed a little bit about the song, I'm watching the video, but in that moment, the lyrics just took me somewhere else.
Well, I'm glad to hear this. Actually, I mean, I'm glad that you're now in a much happier relationship. First of all, because that's the most important thing out of
Absolutely.
this. But I'm glad to hear that people like you just described now related to it in a way that I would never have expected myself.
Yeah.
Because once again, it reinforces what we were discussing earlier, the fact that it's really important to let people come to their own sort of interpretations and conclusions, because music, and especially atmospheric music, and we discussed before the concept of making atmospheric music and mood, and it's all about connecting to feelings and emotions, isn't it? And everyone does it in their own sort of personal way. So by listening to something, your mind will automatically travel somewhere, and then you might get sort of stuck there, or you might go elsewhere. And you know what, that's just a beautiful thing. I think what I've read quite a lot of neuropsychological books about music and what music does to the brain, and it involves the whole brain. That's a good thing with music. It's unlike a lot of other things that need very specialist parts of the brain to get involved. Music has the ability to actually spread over the whole brain, which means even the more unconscious part of our brain gets involved when we process music. Rhythm, tap, all the sort of basic sort of evolutionary sort of parts of the brain which have to do with rhythm and your breath and all that. It's all rhythm, isn't it? So again, how you hold rhythm and all that part of the brain is sort of gets involved. And emotion is a different part of the brain, and then the rational part of the mind then tries to make sense in a rational way. So you've got all these different parts of the brain lighting up. If you take it under a scan, you see it lighting up like a Christmas tree when people listen to music. As in listen to music that they like. That's quite crucial, I think, because if we listen to music we don't like, nothing is happening. It's almost like there's no magic there. But that's the magic of listening to music that is of interest to us. It actually involves the whole brain. It all lights up, all the different parts of the brain work together trying to understand and make sense. And that's why it's so powerful, because it goes beyond words, I think, as well. So we're talking about lyrics now, but ultimately we're talking about meanings, isn't it? What they all mean to us, and they all mean different things, really.
Yeah. Wow, that was beautiful what you just said. I liked all that. I couldn't agree more. We all have the songs that we put on when we're happy because it sparks something. We all have that song to put on when we're sad. We have that song that we put on for the holidays that get us ready for it. And we all have our song, our gym song, our workout song. Like, we all have these things that we connect to certain moments because it sparks something in us.
Right, yes. And I think these
crazy.
unexpected elements sometimes, because it catches you by surprise, which makes
Yeah.
it even more powerful, that you like, oh, I didn't expect to have that experience,
Yeah.
but it just happens, and you have to acknowledge it, say, well, it is what it is, so.
Yeah. I can talk about this stuff all day, man. This is a fun conversation.
Oh, it's definitely the most interesting conversation I had in a long time about music, I have to say.
Cool.
For sure.
Very cool. Well, we still have about a little over 3 minutes left of this.
Mostly instrumental now, dare I say.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've gone through the lyrics. We'll hear the "Why Aren't You Here?" Just be here a few more times, but let's ride out this journey until the end. I want to stop it there really quick. One thing I wanted to point out is that guitar solo there, that was a great solo. The last interview that I did was with a band called Symphony of Destiny, and they did the same thing. It was kind of some instrumental, like strings and stuff. But when he came in with the guitar, like it flowed so beautifully. And the way that the music was, I was expecting something pretty technical to come in, but it wasn't. But it wasn't in the best way, because sometimes all you need is just that, and then a little some extra, and just let it ride with the song. It doesn't need to.
It's actually difficult to write simple stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's the most easy thing is because most metal musicians there's enough progress there to prowess to play technical stuff, but it's actually to be able to let go of that and say, I'm gonna serve the music here, like that sort of less is more thing.
Yeah.
It's easier to say than to do, So yes, I appreciate
so.
when bands are doing that, absolutely.
And it just takes you to a deeper place with it.
I agree.
Ugh.
The influence of that I know it's not a metal guitarist, but David Gilmour is a big influence of that from Pink Floyd. Because for me, he influenced a lot of metal anyway. You can hear it even in tracks of Queensryche, where it's just like very Floydy sort of part.
Yeah.
It's just the, this whole, it's exactly that is his philosophy, very measured. Every note seems to have a purpose. Nothing is too much there.
Yeah.
No notes are necessary. And everything is very beautifully expressed as well. The way he plays every note has a very individual character, and I love that, because in doom metal it's a slow genre of music, so we really need to emphasize the individual notes much more. It's not just about playing notes, it's about how you play them also. See? That's what makes a difference. So
yeah, and I like that quote a lot too. It's every note means something.
But
and
for me it has to. That's I love to see notes, almost like to see them, how they sort of come out of the guitar, and then they make that sort of little tremble, wobble, whatever, and then they die out. It's almost like you see the lifetime in slow motion, lifetime of the note, You know,
Yeah.
it's just a beautiful thing, man. I don't know, like maybe when you listen to slow music, as I generally do, you start appreciating that sort of stuff more. You start to get into the individual sort of notes and how they sort of um, because if you play something fast, you know, you have to play the notes in a very similar way because you don't have enough time to express them individually. If you play like a riff from Dragon Force, the 16th or 30-second notes, whatever, they have to be really played in very similar ways because you have to play them really tight. Otherwise, they sound very messy. But if you're slow, you can afford to sound a little bit more, you know, not messy, but almost like go a little bit out of rhythm and then go back in a very subtle way that, you know, is barely noticeable, because then that gives it a bit more life and makes it more interesting, you know, because when you play slow, it's not about the technique. It's, you know, when someone plays fast, you can admire the technique, but when someone plays slow, it's not really so much about the technical sort of, it's more about the emotion and how you express every individual note. So yeah,
There are certain things your art needs in order for it to survive, and meaning and depth and purpose. They're definitely those things.
yeah.
So every note.
And I think if you do that, if you learn to be strict with yourself with that sort of stuff and question it, then in the beginning it happens naturally in the end, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because then you start sort of creating a little bit of a sort of mindset of like, okay, and I think you can apply it to anything, to art, to everything. Your job, life
Yeah.
is about like, okay, how I'm doing things is really important, because that kind of, you know, becomes part of me in the end, especially if I know I have to do that for a long period of time, or it's something that I know I cannot get a way of not doing it. I might as well do it well or do it in an efficient way, so
Yeah.
that I know I get the most out of it. So the better you become, the more you sort of get the best possible results, I think. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I like it. It's a good look. I like that.
I think so.
All right, well let's
Well, we're
keep-
almost there now.
we're almost there. Let's keep it going.
Just be, oh, just be, just
Well, that was definitely a very hard-hitting song. You know, and I definitely don't think you would take this any other, way, but just my own view on it. But how I was saying earlier, there's songs that I would listen to for certain feelings and for if I'm feeling a certain way, and to me, this song would have probably been on my playlist of when I'm feeling sad. Of when I'm going through
Yep.
a breakup or a passing of somebody, or not wanting or feeling something bad is on the way, and you're trying to kind of just contain it in that moment. Like, no, let's just be here and let's discuss this before it kind of gets out of control. To me, that's kind of what this song is. It's a little on the depressive end for somebody
Yeah.
going through something, and that's where I would kind of put this track for me.
Yeah, well, live, in life, I think, and metal music does that quite well anyway. Metal music is quite honest, I think, about emotion.
Yeah.
And life, we all experience every emotion. Yeah, happiness, but also sadness and depression. It's all part of the game, isn't it? It's all part of life. So I think it's important to have music and songs that kind of, express the whole sort of range of emotion. Because if you listen to the radio, all that crap that they play, day in, day out, the pop music, it's all about, I want to party. Oh, yeah, I'm having such a great time. And for me, it
Yeah.
sounds so not genuine. It's almost like, well, nobody wants to party the whole time. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
there are moments in your life where you don't want to party at all. So I don't want to party. So
Yeah.
I just don't want to hear the whole time songs about I want to party. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Drake. No more partying, Drake. Sorry.
enough. Yeah, for some of these people, I would say partying is quite dangerous. But
Yeah.
but let's not go there.
So away from this song for a moment. Before we met today, I had no clue that you were also a psychologist.
Mhm.
So that's very interesting to me how you use your background of psychology into creating music. What was kind of that journey of those two worlds kind of combining together?
Well, I think both are, I mean, I can't really say one's part of the other or anything, but I think both are sparked from the same ideas, which I also had a fascination for human behavior in general, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that leads you to number one, I want to study it, but number two, I also want to write about it in a sort of artistic, literally way. That's how it came into my lyrics too. It's just a whole, as we were saying earlier, right? Human behavior is weird. That's why it's exploited by horror films and all the terrifying world that happens inside the brain. The brain is the most complicated organ in the whole of the universe.
Yeah.
Like we still haven't figured it out. I don't
No,
think.
never will.
And I don't think we ever will. No, because it's kind of because the interesting with when you study the brain, it kind of plays tricks on yourself as well because you need the brain to study the brain.
Yeah.
That's quite tricky in itself, because
Yeah.
the brain makes you feel that everything it thinks is objective, but of course, we know that it isn't. So, and that's
Yeah.
part of the problem, I think. So that we can't trust what the brain tells us to think or feel sometimes. And yeah, and I find that endlessly fascinating, man. That's why I write about it, I study it, because it's the sort of the most interesting subject in the world, in my opinion. And I just like to go out in nature as the other thing, to walk and to find myself, and that's something reflected often, not in this lyric, but in other lyrics, sort of this whole idea of losing yourself in the universe, in the world, in the nature. Hence the name Pantheist, of course, Pantheist of the band, which means everything is God. It's the whole idea of everything is sacred. You can find something sacred and spiritual in everything if you look hard enough into it, and that's quite important for me. It's the whole idea of actually having respect for everything, because in everything you can find meaning. That's what it's all about, really. So.
This is why this podcast is special, because listening to your music, I would, if I didn't speak with you and just listen to the music, I would definitely have my own interpretation about it and kind of, it would be its own thing and kind of move on to the next song or your next song, whatever it is. But learning who you are as a person and how your brain works and how you see things, and then looking at the visual of the music video, to how that was structured, to how the song is structured, how long the song is, it's a cinematic kind of masterpiece, and you take your time with it. A lot of people can be, a 10-minute song, and probably drags on and probably has a lot of the same things in it, but it's not. Like you said, every note has its purpose. And
Thank you. I'm glad you said that. Yeah. I mean, that's what we're just saying, isn't it? Sort of the idea of actually, if you search enough, you can find meaning in everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, occasionally you can be into fast music, but occasionally you also want to have something to reflect something different. So you listen to something slow, and then you try to understand the meaning as you just did, and then you can delve into that world. You can delve in and then delve out and go listen to I don't know, Dragon Force again, you know, and
Yeah.
that's all cool, you know.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah.
part of the human experience, so it's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so just knowing your background makes me enjoy the song even that much more. So that's
That's great
cool.
to hear. Yes.
Doing this podcast, I almost see this as a kind of like when you're watching a director's commentary from a movie and you're listening to the director kind of talk about it, and that's kind of how I view this podcast. And I like listening to songs and hearing the songwriter talking about, oh, this is my background, and yeah, this what it means to me, but you can take it and have your own meaning, and just it brings it all kind of full circle, and just it makes it its own
I love
kind
to
of
hear that.
universe.
Thank you. I mean, we
Yeah.
sort of here in Cardiff, we went a few times to that sort of thing. There was a folk a genre that I'm interested in films is folk horror, which is like again a bit more the eerie sort of psychological side of
Yeah.
a bit of devil worship involved, but it's more of quite much more subtle and psychological. And I went twice to a director's sort of where the show the screening, and then the director was there. You could ask questions, and it's exactly as you say. It's actually interesting because that way you get so much more into it because you've got a director there talks about their experience and how they made it and what it means for them, and actually the experience is 10 times richer if you, and I guess that's what you're saying as well, is
Yeah.
sort of that you delve more into it and you understand much more how these things what it means and what it could potentially mean. And again, as we said in the beginning, how different your meaning can be from someone else's, which is great in itself. You know, that's what made art great and interesting, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, I have to say also, this podcast was one of the most interesting ones that I've ever done. So the
Cool.
questions have been really, really, really interesting
Amazing,
and
good.
thought-provoking. Really made me think in a way that I haven't done in a while. And I would like to thank you in turn for that, because that
Yeah,
was
you're
really
welcome.
interesting for me to answer these questions.
Well, like you mentioned earlier on in this interview, it's the 25th year anniversary. I know you said that you've got a small tour coming up. Where are you going on this tour? What else can we expect from this huge milestone?
Yeah, so it's a European tour, so we just go. It's 7 days, so it's not a massive one, but it's one after the other. So we go to 6 different countries actually. So we're gonna play in the Netherlands, then in Belgium, in France, in Luxembourg, which is very interesting, very small country, never played there before, in the Czech Republic, and in Germany. So, it's a bit like that. We
Cool.
played also in Romania a few weeks ago, so we vary a little bit sort of the places we go.
That's cool.
Try to meet new people, or re-engage our old fans. If you're going on for 25 years, there's people who have seen you like 20 years ago at a gig, and suddenly comes to you, oh man, I saw you, I don't know, in 2004 or something, and I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
man, that's just crazy,
I brought my kid to come see you now, and I was a kid when I saw you.
Well,
That kind of
probably,
thing.
yes. Well,
Yeah.
our guitarist is like half my age, so he could be my son. So
Okay.
that happens when you're running a band for such a long time, and you got new members.
Sure.
So you end up being different generations, and it's just like it's all
Yeah.
cool. But it's all about the music. So we play these gigs, and then we're still recording a new album, which we do because we self-finance it. We record when we have money. We go in the studio, we record a song, and then the 10
okay.
15 minutes each. So it's like an EP.
Sure.
Every song is an EP almost, like so.
Yeah.
So when we have like, I think 6 songs in total, we are ready with the album. It's gonna be quite long. I think the next one, maybe
Okay.
65 minutes, something like that.
Cool. Would you guys ever come out and do a little tour out in the States?
Oh, definitely love it, man. At the moment, it's a bit difficult because it's so expensive. All this extra costs, and the visas have become so expensive.
Yeah.
And it's just a practical element. It makes it much more difficult. As I said before, I came with my other band, Cripple Black Phoenix, but that's a long time ago, 2009. But I absolutely would love to, because I have to say, definitely from online sales, the United States, that's where most of our fans are,
Well, there you
so-
go.
Yeah, I don't know now with the tariffs whether they'll be buying as much as they did before.
Sure.
Remains to be seen. But definitely in terms of quantity, I have to say United States and fans. They are they are our our favorite fans because there's so many of them. United States, then Germany. Those are the countries that are where the Pantheist fans are basically. So
Yeah, Germany rocks.
yeah,
There's a lot
it
of great
certainly
music
does.
out there. Well, speaking of your tour and future music, if anybody wants to stay up to date on where they can go and see you and listen to you, where would you head them to?
So if you want to come and listen to our music, I would say for us as an underground DIY band, I would prefer that people come to our Bandcamp. So it's pantheistuk.bandcamp.com, because that's actually my personal sort of page that I set up on Bandcamp with my own personal music. Because I make also other music like piano music, and I have other side projects and all that. And there's quite a lot of stuff on
okay.
that side. But it also has all the Pantheist albums there, so you can go and check. Like for instance, the latest one, which is a compilation, an anniversary compilation, which has kind of rarities and covers and demos. It's a double CD released by Ardua Music. But yeah, everything can be found on that pantheistuk.bandcamp.com website. If people want to go to their favorite streaming platforms, that's fine. I'm not a big fan of Spotify, but YouTube is cool. So you can find our music anywhere anyway. So at your favorite platform, wherever that is. So we don't want to deprive people of the opportunity to listen to it. So.
And so, since all the kids are on Instagram these days, what is your Instagram handle for them to find you?
Well, that's an easy one. Pantheist Band. So there you go.
Easy.
Easy. Easy.
You have no excuse. You have no excuse now. You have a Bandcamp
Absolutely.
and you have an easy Instagram handle. You have no excuse.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Kostas, I know it's past midnight over where you're at now, so thank you for hanging out with me and breaking down Be Here. It was great to dissect this song and to dissect your brain a little bit. It was fun.
Dissect my brain. I love that. Yeah. No, thank you, man. It was really, as I said earlier, it was really, really interesting for me to. You make me think really hard, and I think your questions are generally very thought-provoking and
Thank you.
interesting. It was great to when you are actually able to delve deep into without necessarily asking a million questions about different things, but delving into one thing like one song, and then everything is around it. And I think that works really well. We don't do that in modern life enough. I think that sort of thing, delving into one topic and just staying focused. We tend to just go just jumping up and down, and it was really actually quite good to. We still managed to cover quite a lot of ground, but having that main theme that helps to structure everything, I think, in a quite nice.
Yeah, it's definitely fun because a lot of these songs and discussions that I have with artists, everybody has their own reason why they do what they do. They all have their own history, their own background, and they're all dealing with, good and bad things. And so, one question can spark, another question, and, before you know it, you're having, this really emotional conversation about someone's past, and it's good. It's good to have these talks and to be open, and especially music is a safe place. And everybody listening, music is a very, very safe place.
I definitely like to keep it as a safe place for sure. We live in a very divided world, and if there's one thing that can unite people, it's music. So absolutely
it can. And I am a believer. Music saves lives. It really does. So keep listening to music. Kostas, keep making this music, man, because it's beautiful. And you can tell just by listening to the writing and the structure of these songs just how much love and passion goes into the art. So it's really cool to hear that and to feel that and to hear your story.
Thank you, Martin. Keep making the podcast, obviously, because they're super interesting. I'm gonna delve into the other episodes.
Cool, I appreciate that.
I'm very curious. And yes, I can see you have an artistic mind too, so all the best with your artistic endeavors too,
Thank you very, very much. All right, we'll go listen to Be Here right now and be there. Don't go anywhere, just be there.